Hey guys, today I have another Flurry build for you. This is gonna be my last video guide about Flurry this season, since I have achieved quite everything that you can achieve with Flurry. But this build is very special in my opinion and might be a meta breaker. So here we have the Andariel's Visage variant of Flurry Rogue. So we are dealing our damage with the Poison Novas procced by Andariel's Visage. And this Flurry variant of it, so there are two versions of Andariel's Rogue right now, the Puncture variant and the Andariel's Barrage Rogue. But this one here has also some advantages compared to the others. So in my opinion, this is the most powerful and most fun, most lazy build that you can play right now in the Rogue S tier. So what do I mean by lazy? Well, you just don't have to spam that many buttons as you have to with Barrage Andariel's Rogue, for example. So the reason for that is we are not playing with preparation. Most Rogue builds are using preparation in order to spam their ultimate skill, in order to increase their damage with no witness board. But in this version we don't play with innovation, but instead we play with we don't play with preparation, we play with inner sight. And the reason for that is, well, actually I will show you later in the key mechanics, but with inner sight we can play a way more lazy build here and just don't have to push that many buttons. So you just basically have to activate your poison immune from time to time. You just use your mobility skills for mobility, but yeah, you don't have anything else that you need to spam all the time. So of course you can use your potions to deal some extra damage with with one passive in the Skilltree. You can of course use your smoke grenade from time to time on the lead packs, but basically we have we don't have close quarters combat. We are playing with momentum, and so for that reason as well you don't have to use your shadow step in order to proc and keep activated your close quarters combat passive. So all in all, you are more free to do whatever you want. You can just spam Flurry, and as you can see, the Flurry damage is quite high. And also, like, if you compare this damage or this build with Andariel's Barrage Rogue, which is seen as the king of the rogues right now, Flurry has some major advantages to it. So for example, it ramps its damage way faster if you attack very many enemies at once. So the Andariel's damage works in a way where you benefit from like the damage scales with more poison novas that you create, obviously. And since Flurry is a very powerful AoE skill, and I also have multiple tempers on Flurry size, I hit multiple enemies at once. So for that reason, you can see it right now, for example, if I have many monsters around me, I will scale my damage, I will ramp up my poison damage very quickly with this build. So for that reason, I think this build is just perfectly suited for the Hordes and might be the most powerful Hordes build right now. I have not played Barrage Andariel so far myself too much, so I can't compare it personally, but I feel like with proper gear, so yeah, this build is very good and might be even better in tier 8 Hordes compared to other rogue builds. And it's also a lot of fun, just jumping around with Flurry. So here we are playing with improved Flurry, so we can teleport to the enemies basically. And this is just a lot of fun. And the only weakness of this build was the single target damage, but now you will see in the boss fight. Or actually, I think I have another boss fight for that. So I will first show you the normal version. So here's the boss fight with only Flurry. And for that reason, we swap to Umber Crux. So just like with Andariel's Barrage Rogue, we can swap to Umber Crux when we face. Oops, this is the wrong video. When we face. Sorry, where is the video? This one. So yeah, we can swap to Umber Crux when we fight versus bosses. So for that reason we will deal more damage, and you can see here the damage ticks are not too high compared to Andariel's Barrage or something, or Puncture, the pure Puncture version. But since we can attack multiple council members at once, so here I was lucky and I can attack at least 2 at the same time, the damage is still quite high. because you basically double your damage. The more enemies you have around you, the better for the poison scaling. And so overall, you can see that we are still able to clear this boss in around 1 minute, even under 1 minute, I think. So here we have 45 seconds in the fight. So yeah, around 50 seconds. So yeah, this was the fight with just Flurry. And I can also show you the fight with another variant of this build, which is using Puncture as well. So another variant, and this is slightly better than using only Flurry in the boss fight, is that we swap to Puncture once we are fighting the boss. So in this moment we basically transfer into Puncture Andariel's Rogue, and all we have to do is spam our Flurry from time to time. So we cast our Flurry every 2 or 3 seconds, and this way you can see the poison ticks are higher than in the Flurry only variant, but only versus single target bosses. So here the damage is very high versus one target, but in the Flurry variant we benefit from attacking multiple enemies. But here you can see it ramps up over 2 billion, so very close to Barrage, the Barrage variant. So this is another method how you can increase your single target damage. And yeah, here you will also see it will ramp up to 2 billion once it's endured again. So also this fight took less than, or let's say around 1 minute. So very manageable. And yeah, for that reason I think this build does not have any great weaknesses or so, because the single target damage is also not a problem if you make some adjustments. Here I can also quickly show you some Pit 130. I won't show you the boss fight, that way it took way too long, but just so you get an idea for pit pushing, just look how quickly these enemies melt down with the poison. So again, the more enemies are around you, the better is the poison damage. So here, if it's only 2 elites, it will take way longer, and then you should, at some point, you should maybe just leave. Also, if they become unstoppable. But here, for example, we again have many enemies at once, so we ramp up this 2 billion poison ticks very quickly. So yeah, the pit itself is not a problem. Only the boss damage, yeah, it just takes very long. I think the pit bosses are still buggy right now. So yeah, it's not a lot of fun to me actually to keep pushing the pit. But yeah, just wanted to quickly show you that it's possible. And also here you can see that I finished the boss at some time, and yeah, have accomplished this tier 100 pit. Okay, now I think it's time to swap to the key mechanics part. So we have this version here, and I will talk about everything that is important to this build. So as I mentioned, this is the most lazy build that you can play, in my opinion. We are not using preparation, so we don't have to spam our death trap every 10 seconds. We don't play with close quarters combat, so we don't have to spam our shadow step if needed. And the reason for that is because we are playing with Scoundrel's Leather, actually. So Scoundrel's Leather is a very fun item. While I have unlimited energy from inner sight, casting a core skill has a chance to spawn Caltrops, Poison Trap or Death Trap. And all of them are helpful for us. So Death Trap replaces preparation. So we still benefit from the no witness board here, so we still get this 39% increased damage after casting an ultimate skill, but we just do it automatically with Scoundrel's Leather. And of course Poison Trap is also helpful, because we can benefit from some 15% increased poison damage buff. And also Caltrops, since they increase our damage by 5% per second up to 45%. So all we have to do is spam our Flurry, and you can see we will automatically cast all of these traps here. Death Trap, Poison Trap and Caltrops. The only thing, the bug with Caltrops right now is, for some reason, you have to put it on your active skill bar and cast it once. Only after you have cast it once, it will proc from this Scoundrel's Leather. I don't know why, it seems like a bug. So here you can see I've casted it. And now Scoundrel's Leather also should cast Caltrops from time to time. So you saw it here right now. And after that you can swap back to whatever skill you like. So here I had Puncture. And then it should still work. Yeah, and you can see it still works. So this is the most interesting part about this build. And what allows you to play this lazy variant of it. And of course, you can use some other damage multipliers. You can increase your damage by activating Poison Imbuement every 8 seconds. Also, Smoke Grenade will increase your damage. So we can demonstrate with Elite Packs here. So the damage will ramp up very quickly. The more enemies you have, you are surrounded with, as I mentioned, the higher the damage. So it just ramped up to 3 billion for 1 second. So you can see very high damage numbers. If I swap to a single target, the damage will be not as high, just because with Flurry you're very reliant on many enemies around you. So you see that's a huge difference compared to like 1 enemy compared to 5 enemies. So here you just ramp up way more quicker than with 1 enemy. And now I can switch to the boss. So Scoundrel's Leather, very fun item. Then, of course, we have Andariel's Visage. This is what we need for this build. So you can play it without Andariel's Visage. But anything else basically is not a very core requirement. But okay, I think we can now talk about the items here. So yeah, you need Andariel's Visage, obviously. It's highly recommended to also play with Ring of Starless Skies, but you don't need it to play this build. So it's a very powerful item, but you can also just use another ring with maybe some attack speed, some lucky hit chance, and dexterity, and also another offensive aspect. So something like Inner Calm, for example. And then you're also good to go. You just need to maybe invest more points into innovation, because you can see here I have only 1 point in innovation, and this is just enough to maintain my energy level. Also because I'm playing with Inner Sight, of course, and this gives me unlimited energy. But yeah, if I lose my Ring of Starless Skies, then you maybe need to put some more points into innovation to maintain your energy level. Doombringer here is also not mandatory. The idea of Doombringer is, since we are playing with Scoundrel's Leather, we need some more tankiness, because we are not playing with Tyrael Smite, and I want to farm tier 8 Hordes, and for that reason I need some more tankiness. You could theoretically drop Doombringer and replace the Dexterity Gems with Life Gems, and also kind of survive. You just need to be more careful with explosions and stuff like that, but basically it's possible. So both the Doombringer and Ring of Starless Skies are not mandatory. You basically only need Andariel's Visage in order to start this build. And in tier 7 you will also have way less problems with dying. So yeah, but for the perfect setup I recommend Doombringer, just to be more tanky because of Scoundrel's Leather. Here I also masterworked damage reduction from enemies affected by trap skills, so this of course also helps you to survive. And then we can just go item by item. So here I have Fist of Fate, also very important item. I would say this is kind of mandatory just because it's so powerful. So here I have a triple critted lucky hit chance, which is just a huge bonus to lucky hit chance. So here you want a greater affix on lucky hit chance if possible. And also I was lucky with this max roll on lucky hit chance to apply a random crowd control effect. So this has some very decent synergy with the aspect of Creeping Death. So here we deal 40% more damage for each different crowd control effect. And here I have a very high chance applying crowd control effects. So I think I'm applying about 5 to 7 different crowd control effects per second. So yeah, Fist of Fate, very good item, and I can highly recommend to play this build only with Fist of Fate. Then we have depends here. Here just want some. So the most important part here is greater affix with armor. So we need to reach our armor cap. And this is the most simple way how you can do it. You have a greater affix armor on your pants and you have 1 crit of masterwork. So 1 is enough and then you will reach your armor cap. And here also very important temper, you want chance to freeze. Just because we have frigid finesse. And here I also have some additional ranks. So I deal 80% more damage versus frozen enemies. So for that reason you want chance to freeze, even though we have Fist of Fate. Just to be sure, and yeah, this will basically allow us to instant freeze each enemy we attack. And here, of course, we play with Umbras, so we need Umbras to generate Dark Shrouds, which is very key for every rogue build right now. Then on the pants, on the boots, sorry, we have dexterity, max life, so just some decent stats. And the important part here is flurry size. So you want flurry size and you want to masterwork it and crit it if possible. So here you can see right now I have flurry size of 62%. I also have it on my amulet. So this is very good in order to increase your AoE damage. And here we have Noxious Eyes, just some bonus poison damage versus frozen enemies. Then on the weapon, as I mentioned, Creeping Death, the best aspect by far for every poison build. And here you can see I also have chance for Puncture projectiles to cast twice. So this is in order, so this is only if you want to play the version with Puncture. And I will demonstrate to you after the item section how I can play with Puncture during the boss fight. So if you don't want to play with Puncture, if you only want to use Flurry, then you don't need chance for Puncture projectiles, obviously, and you can just go for something like Caltrop Size or Caltrop Duration. And of course also damage per Dark Shroud Shadows. This is by far the most important offensive tempering and basically every rogue build. You just want as many damage per Dark Shroud Shadow as possible. Then we have this dagger here. You want a dagger instead of a sword if you play with Doombringer. So you don't want to play with 2 swords, this is too slow. And yeah, here also want damage per Dark Shroud. And here I have accelerating, so for more attack speed. And this is also very important. This gives you more attack speed frames and allows you to basically attack up to 4 times per second with perfect gear. But also I don't have perfect gear. Then you have a ring here. Here the important part is to get some poison imbuements casts. It's not too important, but it helps you to maintain your poison imbuement a bit more longer. So I can recommend you that. And of course something like lucky, chance, damage over time, dexterity, just some decent offensive stats. And here we have encircling blades, just because we are playing with Flurry and we want to hit as many multiple enemies as possible. So yeah, this is an aspect you need in this build. And here I have a very decent amulet. You want Alchemical Advantage and Frigid Finesse. These are your 2 most important affixes here. And the third one is something that also gives you damage, or something like here I have cooldown reduction, which is also kind of decent. But yeah, here you can just in the optimal case, it's very hard to achieve, but maybe you find one with ranks to Malice, ranks to Unstable Elixirs, or also something like Greater Affix Dexterity will give you about 10% more damage in the endgame. So yeah, here you kind of just take the best amulet you can find. Amulets are very hard to find. And also here Flurry Size, very important as I mentioned, and damage per Dark Shroud. And I'm playing with Retribution aspect, so I'm dealing more damage to stunt or knock down enemies. Which is helping me in the boss fight and also during the arena run. And yeah, these were the items. Now I can show you the boss fight again. So you have 2 different versions. One was with Flurry only. So if you want to play with Flurry only, you will swap your dagger with accelerating. You will swap it with Umber Crocs. Here you don't need anything special in your Umber Crocs, just decent uptime maybe. And what you do then is you basically just spam your Flurry, you spam your Poison Imbuement and your Smoke Grenade, since Smoke Grenade will increase your, will activate your, your totem, and then you basically just spam all the time your Flurry. And the damage is okay. and it will increase the more enemies you attack at once. So if the council members are pulled together, then this can be a very good strategy to kill them. But sometimes they are solo and are not pulled together, and for that reason I like to play with Puncture. So what I do then is I first cast 5 times my Flurry, so I get my 5 stacks of Starless Skies, and also have some time to activate some of the Scoundrel's leather traps. So here I spam some Poison Trap, Caltrops, Ultimate Skill, and then I switch to Puncture. So now I'm just holding Puncture, and I just use Flurry once in about 2 seconds, okay? So just to maintain my Starless Sky stacks and to proc my Scoundrel's Leather from time to time. So again, I start with some Flurry spam here, and then once the boss is staggered, I swap to Puncture and just spam my Puncture. And then I repeat this process over and over again. And the damage should ramp up a bit more quick than with Flurry only. So, but it's very close. So it has advantages and disadvantages. It depends on the pulling of the council members, as I mentioned. So just choose your optimal way if you want to play with Puncture, or just with Flurry to keep it more simple, and then swap the Umber Crux during the boss fight. So these are your 2 variants. Now we can talk about the skills quickly. So if you want to play with Puncture, you should also take this fundamental Puncture. If not, you can just remove it and put it somewhere else. Something in, for example, in Innervation or Agile. It doesn't matter too much actually. So here then you want to play with Improved Flurry. So this is what makes you teleport to the enemies. This is what makes a lot of fun in this build. So very important, Improved Flurry. Then I only have 1 pointer to Shadow Step. You could, so this is also something you could do, remove Fundamental Puncture and also remove this Methodical Caltrops in order to have more cooldown on your Shadow Step. So this is an alternative here. But for me it's just fine with 1. Methodical Dash for more charges. Here Enhanced Caltrops for more damage with Caltrops. Unstable Elixirs. Rugged, very good in the arena as well. Damage reduction. For damage over time effects. There's a lot of fire laying on the ground in the arena, so very good passive in my opinion. Countering Smoke Grenade, Subverting Poison Trap, Subverting Dark Shroud for more healing. Of course all the damage passives here, Frigid Finesse. Here you want Mixed Poison Imbuement, just to increase, like have a lucky chance to decrease your cooldown, so you can spam Poison Imbuement more often. And here Alchemical Advantage, you in a perfect scenario you want to have 8 ranks, so this will give you 40% attack speed and you will break the next attack speed cap this way. Here I only have 35, so I'm also lacking 1 more attack speed breakpoint, but it is what it is. You take Deadly Venom and Toxins, and only 1 point in Innovation, like I mentioned, is just enough to maintain your energy level with Inner Sight. And Momentum here, which gives you a lot of stuff, movement speed, damage reduction, and 50% more damage. So very good key passive here. And only because we're playing with Flurry we can take it. And now quickly the Paragon board. So here we have 6 glyphs. We are playing with Fluidity, Control, Ambush, Bane, Canny, and Tracker. So we start with Control glyph in the starter board, then we go to No Witness board. And here we have the Fluidity glyph for more max life. And we take all of this ultimate skill nodes. Then we go here to Exploit Weakness. And here we have the Tracker glyph. And we also take this Cold Resilience. This is important in order to max out our poison, our resistances. I forgot to mention resistances. So here just put 1 gem of each element into your jewelry. And Cold Resistance is covered by a Paragon board. So here I just realized I'm lacking 1 more intelligence. You can just swap out something here for intelligence. Let me quickly check. I can't find something right now, but I will do it in the planner, I think. So for example here, you could just put one more intelligence and now you are capped. So this is how you cap out yourself. Poison is capped with Andariels, so just 3 gems are enough. Okay, then we go to this board here. We have Deadly Ambush and Ambush Glyph. Then here Cheap Shot with the Bane Glyph. And the last one is Eldritch Bounty board with Kenny Glyph. So yeah, 6 glyphs and I think 5 legendary nodes. So this is the maximum you can get out of the Paragon board. And yeah, I can also quickly show you my stats in the end. So this is basically the build. You want, in the end game you will have something like 200% lucky chance bonus. So here 206%. And this is what you should aim for. But yeah, this is basically the build. It's a lot of fun. Compared to the physical pure Flurry Rogue, I think they're quite similar in power level actually. This one is maybe a bit better if you face a lot of enemies at once, like I mentioned. The damage ramps up very quickly then. But I would say they are very close. Both boss fights take about 1 minute. Slightly less with perfect gear. So yeah, you can just decide which one you prefer more. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed it, guys. And I hope I see you in the next videos. Have a nice day and bye bye.